Felicity Azura in the area. Join the generation revolutionary clan. Inviting people, telling stories, finding her, making poems too. Inspire, erase. Inspire, erase. This is the KLA. This is the KLA. Felicity in the area. Join the generation revolutionary clan. Inviting people, telling stories, finding her, making poems too. Inspire, erase. Inspire, erase. This is the KLA. This is the KLA. Hi everyone, here we are with Felicity Azura. Please introduce yourself.
Hello, everyone. My name is Felicity. I am both a podcaster and a cuddle therapist. In fact, this morning I had 2 back-to-back appointments, which I do once in a blue moon, which feels kind of silly to say out loud considering we have a solar eclipse today.
Okay, well, first of all, who are you and where can our listeners connect with you online? Actually, the first question, who are you, you already answered, but where can our listeners connect with you online?
I am reachable by email address. My email address is felicityazura@gmail.com. No underscores, no numbers. And most people, they book me through email, and then after we create a rapport, I give them my business phone number, and then we schedule snuggle appointments by text.
Oh, okay. So let's start because I'm really curious about the cuddling. It's a beautiful word, I must say. Your dedication to the cuddle industry and your passion for promoting better experience for everyone is evident. Can you share a bit about what led you to start your podcast about professional cuddling and your mission to improve the industry?
I joined the industry at such a young age. I was 19, and
Wow.
there was very, very little information online, and majority of helpful information was paywalled. And I didn't have much money when I was 19, and so I pretty much had to learn everything all on my own. And it's not easy when you don't have a book, when you don't have a podcast, when you don't have a magazine clipping or a radio interview or any of these resources that could educate people on what this industry is, first of all, because most people have never heard of it, and how to safely conduct cuddle appointments.
Well, I must say I'm really lucky to have a guest like you because all my guests have a certain contact point with me. And I started blogging at age 17. I was completely amateur. I started blogging just because I love to write. I'm a writer, an amateur writer too, and I decided to share my diary with many people. I I didn't know I would reach too many people, but I start I started really in an amateur way, and the podcast was the same. I've some years later, I started when I was 25, 26 years old. I wanted to share my arts because I wasn't at art field at this moment, and I wanted to use my blog and another channel as the escape route because I write music, I write poetry, and then this podcast started. And again, I didn't know it would reach too many people. I'm really happy to reach the almost 10 years of this podcast. And well, have guests with some similarities to me. It's really great. And let's go to the next question. Love is a central theme in your work and advocacy. How do you define love in the context of professional cuddling? And what role do you believe it plays in fostering healing and connection? What do most people misunderstand about your work?
That's a lot of questions. I would say
Okay.
that
Oh, you can
love
break.
in love in the context of professional cuddling, to me, I would define that as loving to make others happy. Because that's
Mhm.
why people seek out this therapeutic service, because they want to feel happy, and who doesn't want to feel happy? And so
Well, who doesn't?
if you don't enjoy making other people happy, you will not succeed as a cuddle therapist. And so I would say that one of the most misunderstood things about my industry is where it stands legally, because we're in a very legal gray area. There are no laws that actively criminalize it. There are no laws that actively legalize it. I don't think any politician in my country or worldwide, frankly, has ever acknowledged the existence of professional cuddlers. So that puts me in this legal gray zone, which I don't really like. I would prefer to be legally protected, but we're not there yet.
Okay, so in other words, it's an informal kind of work,
Mhm.
not formalized. Oh, it's really interesting. I never heard about it, and yeah, in times of mental health, we care a lot about our mental health. Many people go to the easiest solution, I think, take medicine and go to the doctor and forget there are alternatives. For some people, okay, the medicine um, is necessary, but sometimes just a kind word can solve many mental disease. It's just my opinion, of course. And one of the themes I chose for us, you chose one, I chose another, is love hatred in his bookshelf. And I wrote this theme in the first season, and it explores the complexities of emotions, including platonic love. Can you discuss any experiences or insights you have gained about platonic love through your cuddle uh, career?
Oh, what a wonderful question. There's so much that my work life has done to positively influence my personal life.
Mm-hmm.
And one of the many, many lessons I've learned about platonic love is that it can be, I know this is very radical to say in this day and age, but I think platonic love is as important as any other form of love. I don't think any relationship I have is superior.
Mm-hmm.
I I love my blood relatives. I love my relatives who are in my family through marriage. I love my friends. I love the people that I'm acquainted with but will eventually become friends with. And it's it's beautiful to equally value all types of love.
Oh, well, it's a wonderful answer. That's all I can say. Uh, some One of my guests was discussing about it because both this guest and me, we are asexuals, and we were talking about all kinds of love. I don't know if you read the book, The Five Love Languages. It's a very famous book.
Mm-hmm.
My main love language is quality time. I don't like physical touch. Actually, I don't feel comfortable, and many of my relationships were basically platonic. And well, when I told this to my second therapist, I started feeling bad. Well, she's not validating my platonic loves. Why? And well, the other said, no, it's there is nothing wrong with you. It's you. And we love anyone in our way. It's love. Love is love. Is
Love is love.
um and now uh, about this, love can be expressed and experienced in various forms beyond romantic relationships. How do you incorporate the concept of love into your interactions and connections?
A trait that is shared amongst all humans is the desire for connection. Some people want to connect with others over music, some people want to connect with others over literature, but what we all have in common is that we all want to feel connected. And
Yeah.
one question I frequently get asked is, what advice do I have for people who want um, therapeutic touch, but there are no professional cuddlers or cuddle parties anywhere near them? And if they can't afford to fly someone to them, my advice is always find communities, connect with those communities. It may not be the same as having platonic physical touch with them, but we all need connection. And as wonderful as it is to have fulfilling one-on-one relations with others, I don't think community love, community connection, community friendship, community healing, I don't think that can be replicated.
Hmm. Okay. Oh, it's a really strong opinion, and in a certain way, I agree with you. In this, especially in these times of many. people trying to replace the human touch by sometimes the pets. Will not talk badly about pets. I had a dog, and she was really cute. I
Mhm.
love to spend time with her, and I still miss her after she passed away.
Mhm.
But yeah, sometimes the one-on-one conversation, it's necessary. Uh, Sometimes there are things we don't want to talk to a huge group or to a community. We just want one ear to hear what we want to say. Well, and as someone who leads with love in your work and advocacy, uh, how do you prioritize self care and ensure that you maintain boundaries?
Mhm. As someone who has spent a lot of time by myself, both as a child and as an adult, I've learned to really cherish my own company. As a kid, I would keep myself entertained by reading books
Mhm,
or playing around with makeup or playing around with fashion. And as an adult,
mhm,
I will go to the movie theater by myself. I'll eat at a restaurant or coffee shop by myself, and I have absolutely no regrets. You should not feel ashamed for doing things by yourself if that makes you happy. If if I don't know, writing fan fiction makes you happy and you never share it on the internet or with a best friend, that is totally valid. What you do in your alone time is precious. And I think ooh, I think we all need to spend intentional times of solitude. For example, when I still lived with my family, as much as I
mhm,
loved, being on my computer in the same room as my siblings while they're doing whatever it is they're doing,
mhm,
that's not, you know, intentional quality time with them. I mean, it can be cute domestic living, but it's not the same thing as intentional quality time with others. And just like how we need quality time with others, it's important we have quality time with ourselves. The only time we spend alone should not be when we're asleep. We have to set aside time for self-care.
mhm. Oh, completely agree. The solitude to me is my best friend, I must say. Uh, Well, until a few years ago, I've never been at a movie theater alone. And I had to do this exercise. And I was terrified because at this time I was still with my family. And I told my mother, "You can't go to the movie theater. I want to go by myself." And she told me, "Okay." Because I have a very worried mom. She always say, "Oh, I was so worried about you,"
Hmm.
and well, it was terrible in the beginning, but I left the movie theater singing, something I would never do if I was with someone else. I love to sing to myself.
Hmm.
Actually, I made singing classes, but I love to stay alone in my house and with the my favorite songs, my favorite playlists, and sing, dance to myself. It's really good. Uh,
I love going to concerts by myself.
oh, it's great. I went once and I really enjoyed. And another place I loved to go was to the museum. And at this day, I went to the art exhibition. There was only me at the room.
I've done
I
that
was
too.
completely alone.
I love going on vacations with one best friend. I have never experienced a vacation where 10 plus
Mm,
friends are there with me. That sounds very stressful. And I recently went on a vacation with a friend to New York City. And that was my first time at New York City as an adult. And so revisiting places I went to as a kid, as an adult, is this very liberating feeling. Also,
uh-huh.
going with a friend I trust is dazzling. And even though we flew on the plane together, we did 99% of activities completely by ourselves. So he and I both understand each other. We both know the importance of intentional solo time,
Oh,
and we
for
don't
sure.
hold grudges against each other.
Oh, for sure. One day, who knows? I want to visit Europe by myself. I really, I really want to visit many many places in Europe. But the first one I wanted to go was Italy, just because part of my family comes from Italy. I really want to visit there. Well, your podcast, you are a podcaster too,
Mm-hmm.
likely provides a platform for sharing stories and insights about love, intimacy, and connection. Can you share any memorable moments or conversations that have resonated with you or your listeners?
Okay, so my favorite client, whom I actually saw today, um, he once stayed in Malaysia for
Wow.
2 or 3 months, something like that.
Mhm.
I've been to Malaysia before. It's very hot, very humid, but it's beautiful. And he was there for work, and he told me that when he finally returned to San Francisco, and it's very cold and foggy in San Francisco, he said he legitimately started crying once he felt the cold air because he hadn't felt that in months. And that story really resonates with me because in less than a month, I recently got a job offer, again, in a very humid equatorial country. And so in 1 month, I'm going to embark on a journey. It's going to be the longest I've ever been away from my boyfriend, away from my parents, and my contract is 2 to 3 months long. And so I I'm not looking forward to being away from my cuddle clients for that long, but I do I'm very fortunate. I'm so blessed because I know that I've developed such good relationships with my cuddle clients that I know that the week I return to San Francisco, they're going to hit me up and say, "Hey, Felicity, welcome back. Um, when can I see you again?" And I'm probably going to get postcards and mail them to my favorite clients. And I may just cry the second I return to San Francisco because I'm going to feel that cold air, which is non existent when you're at the equator. And so, but in a way that's gonna in a way that's gonna bring me closer to my favorite cuddle client because we're gonna have that shared experience, even though we weren't literally there as a twosome.
Well, I'm below the equator. I'm in South America. I'm a Brazilian.
Mhm.
And yeah, we have many climate differences. In my case, I'm at tropical zone, and now we are in fall. Actually, I call this post-summer phase because it seems like summer until 6 p.m. Now it's 10 p.m. and the weather is really great. But until 6 p.m., the temperatures are above 30 degrees. It's not, it doesn't seem like fall. Um, well, in your podcast and advocacy efforts, you likely encounter individuals with diverse backgrounds and experiences. How do you navigate discussions about love and intimacy?
I'm glad you asked that because I was an extremely privileged child. I grew up in the San Francisco Bay Area, so an extremely, extremely multicultural place, like Brazil. I know Brazil is very multicultural.
Very multicultural,
So
yes. We,
I,
Brazil and the US are very alike countries just
mhm.
because of it. I know it.
And I bring, no matter what topic I choose to write about, I somehow always incorporate my upbringing, how I was as a child. I grew up in a place where I met people from all walks of life. I had classmates who were Arab. I had classmates who were Latino. I had classmates who were Black. I had classmates who were South Asian. I had classmates who were East Asian. I will say very few of my classmates were Pacific Islanders, but I mean, I had one Chamorro classmate whom I can recall. I hope he's doing well. And um, just recently, I went to an art exhibition that was curated by someone who went to the same college as me. And I ran
Wow.
into my high school teacher and a high school classmate there. So I don't know how they found out about the event or if my high school peers somehow know my college peer, but it's a microcosm where I live. And so it doesn't strike me as odd when I speak to podcasters or when I speak to podcasters from all walks of life because that's all I have been exposed to.
Great. And your town always reminds me of two series I love, Full House and Girl Boss. These series are all in San Francisco,
Mm.
and when you talk, there are always scenes from this series in my head. uh, Let me see. Your commitment to investing your snuggle earnings back into your community is admirable.
Mhm.
Can you share some of the ways in which you have seen love and support manifest within the communities you serve through your work?
I volunteer for this one organization in San Francisco called Rad Mission Neighbors, and every single month on the last Wednesday, we do this thing called Free Laundry Day, where we will pay for anyone's laundry service. We don't ask them how much money they make. We don't ask them if they're homeless. We don't ask them prying questions, but a majority of the people who do seek this free laundry day service are Latino immigrants who speak very, very little English, and they may not have relatives who also live in the United States. So they have to deal with a bunch of isolation and probably ostracization. And so that is one of the many ways I use my earnings to invest in my community.
Nice. And what's your way of showing up for yourself every single day?
Ooh, that is not a question I think about often enough. And so I am grateful you asked that because I will be thinking about that more frequently from now on.
Mhm.
Um, art is a huge, huge part of my life. And that is how I stay grounded. It's how I make connections with other people. It's how I do self care. Art is, I mean, it's our reason for living, is it not? I like reading, I
Mhm.
like writing, I like listening to music. I do not compose. Unfortunately, I do
Mhm.
not have that skill. Um, Maybe one day. I enjoy singing, although I normally don't sing in front of others. I just love how during every hardship in my life, art, especially music, has always been there for me. And so I I don't fear going blind. I I know that if I went blind, I'll still be able to dance. I'll still be able to listen to music. I'll still be able to enjoy so many of the things that I enjoy today. But
Mhm.
it's losing my hearing that I am afraid of. It's losing dexterity in my fingers because then I won't be able to write. And I have a grandmother who's in her 90s. And so her sight has deteriorated, her hearing has worsened. She can barely enunciate words. She can make some sounds with her mouth, but she can't really enunciate the way you and I enunciate. But she does still have dexterity in her fingers, and so she can still write. And her handwriting is beautiful. I know I'm biased, but I think my grandmother's handwriting is beautiful. And so I am glad that if I were to give her paper and a pen, she can just keep herself occupied. And I I hope she never gets to a point in her life where she loses dexterity in her fingers too, and so she's literally unable to move any part of her body without
Mhm.
assistance, because art fulfills us. It really does.
Yeah. Well, it's really heartwarming to see you talking about your grandma because I frequently talk with the other guests about my great grandmother. She was a very influential woman in my life. I always tell people she was an example of strong woman to me. And well, some years before she passed away, I was 15 years old, and it was a really tough moment to me. Oh, she had dementia,
Mm-hmm.
and it was really hard for me to see my my beloved great grandma depending on others to do things. She was somewhat independent. She was a very talented woman uh, to cook. She was really great at singing and writing too. It was a tough moment. Uh, but well, when you love someone, it doesn't matter how the person is. All the moments we live together, they they um they seem to be so quick. We want them to last forever.
I was
Uh,
15 when my maternal grandfather's mom died, and that was the only great grandmother I ever met. And she was 102 when she
wow.
passed. And so because of her, I think I could live to be 100. Because if she was born in 1913, when the life expectancy was not 100 years old, and live past 100, then maybe I can live over 100. And I
Oops.
don't know much about her, but her legacy does live on through my mom.
Oh, it's a really coincidence because this great grandmother, she was born in 1914. And when she passed away, she was 89 years old, 2 months, some months before her 90th birthday. Um, but it was a really hard moment to me because it was Christmas Eve. Uh, it's a beautiful date. Many people are, are playing and smiling because it's Christmas. And uh, to me, it's a really hard date. Uh, Therapy is helping me to celebrate Christmas again, but it's not the same thing.
I understand. My mom's dad passed away around the time of my grandma, so his wife's birthday, and
Oh.
shortly before my birthday. My grandma and I, our birthdays are about 1 month or 2 months. Our birthdays are pretty close together, and he died right in the middle between both my grandma and my birthday.
Oh, yeah. And let's go next. What film or a TV show that you often reference an inspiration for your work, if it exists?
Hmm. Do religious texts count as cultural media references? Um, because I've read the Bible and I've read the Quran. King Solomon had, I forget
Mhm.
her name. What was it? I, I should not forget her name, but King Solomon arguably had a professional cuddler because there are some verses that talk about how this one woman whom he wasn't married to was laying down by his side, and she never engaged in sexual contact with him. She had purely platonic relations with King Solomon. Um, no, it's not King Solomon. It's David. Yeah, that's my bad. I should have pulled this up before I started speaking, and it's I would argue it's possible evidence that professional cuddling has been around for a lot longer than a lot of people give it credit for. It did not. I highly doubt it only came into existence after the internet boom. I think since people have been craving human connection for as long as humans have existed, and currency has been around for a very long time, I think professional cuddling has been around for a very, very, very long time, even though it's barely referenced in popular culture and doesn't even have a Wikipedia page, which is baloney.
Yeah, I'm really glad you talked about the Holy Bible. I'm Christian too, I'm Catholic. And I'm going to check the Old Testament. I'm with a Bible here, in
Oh,
fact,
okay. Yeah.
to check later if there is something about professional cuddling. Uh,
Oh, her name is Abishag. Or in some translations of the Bible, it may be slightly different, but I think in English, her name is Abishag.
okay, I'll check this later.
Okay.
It's really a pleasure to read some examples from our everyday life from Holy Bible. Well, and I in the episode you chose love anywhere. I start it with an affirmation. I'm loving it. How do I know what is love?
Well, I believe it's love if it makes your heart sing. And for a lot of people, including my boyfriend, he describes love as giving new meaning to the love songs that you listen to. Because I'm sure for Brazil, a lot of the songs you hear on the radio are about love. And so you may get desensitized to it because that's what you're constantly hearing.
Yes.
But when you're in love, it gives a deeper understanding, a deeper appreciation of songs about love, and by extension, poetry or poems about love.
Oh, yeah, there are many from ancient times. Nowadays, pop music is not so romantic. They talk more about the end of love, the suffering, not the exactly the process of conquering and falling in love. I think it's the most beautiful one. How it starts, how it ends is not so. It's not so nice to hear, but it's okay. And how? Let me see. Told you love the arts, and how could you balance? The need of art uh, with the desire to evoke a different experience for your clients, for example.
I don't think I have to put up that much of a front with my regulars, but I will say when I meet someone for the first time, I do try to, um, I guess, hold back a little because I don't know them. It's our first time meeting, and I want to leave as good of an impression as possible because I don't know if I'll ever hear from them again. But I will say, as someone who is comfortable enough to not really hold back when I meet new cuddle clients, it, it's still it still gets to me when I contact someone because I do occasionally send follow up texts and follow up emails. It does still sting when someone does not respond, but uh, you just gotta develop thick skin because not every single person is going to want to see you again. And I should look on the bright side. Maybe maybe our first meeting was so amazing that they feel 100% full of whatever emotion they wanted to feel.
Oh, that's really great to hear. It's I think some people they have a need to for of acceptance instead of judgment. There are too many people around us misjudging us all the time, directly or indirectly through gossip. I know no one like say they like gossip, but well, in many groups, instead, especially where I live, gossip is a way of socializing with others, and it's so degrading. I really don't know because well, if you approach to other person uh, talking from badly on someone, is this a real friendship? Is this a real bond? I asked this myself when I saw once some months ago when I went to a coffee shop, a group of ladies. I don't know how many. I think 4 or 5 ladies together at the table by my side, talking about one woman, and well, they are talk they were talking too loud, and it was really disturbing me. Not because they were speaking loud, but about the person they were talking. They had this effort. They made this effort to sit down to talk about someone. Well, why don't they use this energy to cuddle others or to make a positive impact? I really don't understand.
That's a good
It's
question. That reminds me of this one dinner I had with a friend in February of this year. And so it was so I drove what 200, 300 kilometers to see this friend, and it's the longest I've ever gone driving with just myself in the car. And so I spent a weekend with a friend who lives hundreds of kilometers away from me, and it was our last night together. He said, let's go to a really fancy restaurant, and there are very, very few people within our proximity. So it's nice. It you get candlelight, there's privacy, there's it's an intimate gathering, but then even though we are one of the few diners there, the table next to ours is, I believe, two women venting and drinking wine, and they were talking so loud. I'm assuming about their kids. They were talking so loud that I could barely hear myself talk to my best friend right in front of me. And we did not, as we were conversing, we did not acknowledge our neighbors in the restaurant. But once we got out of the restaurant, we are like, so what do you think about those people? And he said, it sounded like they really needed to get something off of their chest. They really needed, I think we all need venting sessions, but I think a public venting session where people close by can barely hear themselves speak is a bit inappropriate.
Oh, for sure. I think it's not elegant. I know elegance sometimes seems something old-fashioned and very inappropriate because it's not okay. They are not near the victim, the one who is victimized, but other people are listening to the conversation. I don't know. It's something adequate. Well, and about your focus on promoting better experiences. They speak to your commitments to love and empathy. Can you share any strategy and approach you have developed for addressing challenges and fostering positive outcomes within the cuddle industry?
Well,
The informal industry, in fact.
yeah.
Okay.
Emotional literacy is something everyone should have. And part of emotional literacy is recognizing what emotions you're feeling, recognizing what emotions other people are feeling, being able to verbalize your emotions. When I was still in therapy, I struggled to verbalize my emotions, and I still have a long way to go in terms of emotional literacy, but the world would be it would be so much better if we all were emotionally literate, because our feelings, everybody has emotions. We may not all have the same experiences, but we all have the same emotions. And so emotions can be a wonderful tool in understanding ourselves, what we're okay with, what we're not okay with, and understanding other people's boundaries. And I firmly believe that public education, so public schools, need to start teaching emotional literacy to children. I think the younger, the better. And you're really never too young to learn about emotions, because I could see a 1-month-old crying baby and I can understand what emotion it's feeling, even though the baby probably has not picked up on any language, whether it's English or Portuguese.
Oh yeah, uh, and I agree with you. It's really important to understand our own emotions. I think it gives us some freedom too. We we don't feel the obligation to please others 100% of time. We learn to respect ourselves. It's really important to uh, set some boundaries. Uh, if we please too much people, if we are the people pleasers, sometimes we forget to respect ourselves. And we always pretend, oh, everything's fine, everything's is great. And sometimes it isn't. I know this because my mother is just like this. She's she has a beautiful soul. She always taught us not to disrespect other people, and but because she was a people pleaser, she was never hurt enough by some nearby people of our family. No one respected her emotions when she was feeling tired or not feeling good. Unfortunately, I must say, unfortunately, only when she suffered a car crash 1 year and a half ago, people started seeing her. And well, it was a shocking moment for all the family, and they saw uh, the one who was not only my mother and my sister's mother, was mother of everyone else, including her brothers and sisters. She also had feelings. She wanted to get some rest. She needed to take a break from everything. It's really important to understand the other's emotions and necessities. I agree with you.
I'm glad your mother survived the car crash.
Oh, for sure. She almost passed away. It was a terrible moment to me, but yeah, I feel relieved too. Okay. And if your life was a movie, what would its title be, and who would play you in the film adaptation?
I absolutely would want an up and coming actor to play me because I don't know how it is in Brazilian cinema, but here in the United States, there's a lot of nepotism, and people tend to only hire their own kids or their best friend's kids or their best friend to act in their movies. And so I really want an up and coming actor to play me because
Hmm.
film is an art. I want that medium to be accessible to as many people as possible. And as for the title of my life movie, um, hmm, ooh, I I have this tattoo that I got when I was 18, and it says "My body, my choice, my life, my voice," and it's the only tattoo I have with words, and I love that tattoo, and I think that sums up my life very well. I may not have the job that most conservative parents want their children to have, but it is my body, it's my choice, it's my life, and it's my voice, and I'm going to use my voice to comfort as many people as I possibly can because the world, I mean, you and I know if the world needs something, it's love for humanity. Oh gosh. We need love for humanity.
Okay. Well, for your information, actors here, they have an extra layer uh, of difficulty called politics. They must some artists must be tied to a certain political view. I won't tell which one it is because this is not the core of the KLA, but it's all about politics. It's all I want to know. And I want to say, and well, your it would be a very interesting movie played by an outsider. uh, well, and I never answered this question myself, but to me, my movie, I it would be a crazy one. But the all I know is the first song. I would put the open song, or the only song of the movie would be "Hand in My Pocket" by Alanis Morissette. I love this song. It's me. It starts with "I'm broke, but I'm happy. I'm poor, but I'm kind." So it's totally me. I left a very political career. I was in the field of law to be an graphic designer and illustrator. And now, thanks to the 30,000 listeners, I'm also a podcaster. So it's something people will never understand. But I can't imagine myself coming back to um, a so formal environment as a courthouse anymore.
I recently dropped out of college and I was majoring in political science, so I can relate. My family's not happy that I am the only child born to my parents without a degree, and they're just going to have to accept it because I'm getting job offers left and right from Guam, and I already booked my plane ticket, and I'm not turning back. I am happy with my podcast. I'm happy with my writing. I'm happy with a lot of things which many other 25-year-olds cannot also say.
Oh, this is great. uh, well, I don't have any energy to misjudge others' choices. I think we all should be more free to choose our lives, even if our parents say, "Oh, you had your choice, you choose this." In a certain way, not. We have a huge influence of our parents in our lives. I always ask my other guests who are the most influential people in your life, and let me see, 99%, only one person answered differently. They always say my parents. So they are very influential.
My boyfriend is a huge inspiration to me. We have been together for a little over 30 months, and I know the exact amount of months because uh, I keep putting off. Maybe I should get a cake because my parents actually have this like little toothpick thing that you can stick in a cake that says "Happy 30th anniversary," and my parents have been married for 30 years, but they still have that toothpick cake topper thing, and I'm like, I recently I recently surpassed 30 months with my boyfriend, so maybe I should reuse that cake topper. I mean, it's going to collect dust. So I am often asked by other podcast hosts, well, why do you still try to make some familial relations work when it can be very stressful? And the answer is because I know other people who also have strained relationships within their immediate family, but they overcame those obstacles, and I like to think if they can do it, then so can I.
This is great. I I uh, I would make a question. This is improvisation. I didn't prepare this one. What's your opinion about online relationships, especially after pandemic? I just wanted to hear.
Well, like with all relationships, it takes a lot of communication and commitment to work. I am incredibly blessed to have such rich relationships with so many professional cuddlers, and I never would have heard of their names had the internet not existed. I would not even have my job if the internet existed, because all advertising is online, and it's it's pretty spectacular what we are able to accomplish through using the internet. It's a utility that can be used for bad, but it's a utility that can also foster friendships that last decades of your life.
Yeah, I completely agree. I met one of my best friends nowadays doing language exchange. I teach her English and she teaches me Japanese. And we live at opposite sides of the planet. Well, and I really disagree with the previous generations, especially here. They use it to call virtual, use the word virtual relationships and real relationships. No, to me, it's sometimes the person is uh, at the same house, the same neighborhood, and they pass by you and nothing happens. You can fall on the ground and no one will help you, and they are near you. They will just look. So depending on the accident, they will just get the phones and start filming the disaster to post on social media, but they will not help you. And sometimes a person miles away from you will give you some words of support, will say something you need. That's why I wanted to hear from someone who cuddles others professionally about the online relationships. I think it's just one more space, not only real and unreal.
My I mean, I've met my boyfriend's mother before in 2022, and I've not seen her in person since. Well, that's going to change in about a month, but we have kept in touch mainly through snail mail. I thoroughly enjoy writing her letters, and she says she always looks forward to receiving postcards from me. And it's like I said, it's fun to go on vacations by yourself, it's fun to go on vacations with friends. But another magical part about vacations to me is buying gifts for the people I love while I'm on vacation, and then hearing them tell me that they received that gift. It's proof that love knows no, well, territories, doesn't know any like national lines. Love is just love.
Yeah, I think this is the message of our episode.
Mm.
Oh, by the way, um, the conversation is great, but it must come to an end. So it will be the last round of questions.
Okay.
The first one, looking ahead, what are your hopes for the future of the cuddling and your podcast? How do you envision continuing to promote love, connection?
I hope that the cuddle industry expands, because I've done so much research. I've done so much research on other countries and the existence or non-existence of cuddle parties and professional cuddlers. And
Mhm.
I have researched Brazil. I have found some professional cuddlers in the Sao Paulo area. I really want to go to Sao Paulo, and I don't remember if I found any in Rio, but I do want to go to Rio de Janeiro. And
It's
I
my town. I'm
yeah,
from Rio.
so I have spoken to Latino friends, and I would say stuff like, "Oh, I researched this one country like Suriname or French Guyana, and I couldn't find any professional cuddlers there. That kind of makes me sad." And then they would say, "Or maybe the people there get as much physical touch as they want, and maybe that's why they don't exist." But as much as I admire their optimism, I don't think that's the case. For example, there are some parts of my country where there are no professional cuddlers for maybe a 200-mile, or should I say like 300-kilometer radius, a large distance. And it's not that the people in that region don't crave platonic touch, it's just not enough people know about the snuggle industry. And so, if they don't know about the snuggle industry, why would they become a professional cuddler? Or why would they even try to book a cuddle therapist if they don't even know that this exists?
Oh, and next one, what do you think is the purpose of dreams? And do they hold any significance in our everyday lives?
Oh, I think we dream about what we want, which
Mhm.
sounds very ominous considering some of us have pretty ominous dreams. But um, I've had I've had dance teachers say that before they even took a pregnancy test, they had a dream about stopping someone from cutting down a tree, and the motive was, oh, this tree has like butterflies and caterpillars and something about chrysalises on it. You can't cut down this tree. And then they wake up, take the pregnancy test, it comes back positive, and they're like, oh my gosh, this was a premonition. This was a premonition.
Oh, now you made me remind of the lockdown phase in 2020. I dreamed every day about getting pregnant.
Whoa.
I I was always looking myself with a huge womb, and at this moment, I was starting with a new career, the design and arts. And I was thinking, whoa, why am I dreaming too much about pregnancy? What does it mean? And I read in one of these dream dictionaries is about starting a new phase of life. And this is true.
Oh,
I was starting with the arts, and everything was so new to me. I had no idea what to expect, just like a pregnant woman.
that's that's interesting, because even though I've never had dreams of myself being pregnant, other people have told me they've had dreams about me being pregnant. So I don't know what that is supposed to mean.
Yeah, but according to the dictionary, I can't say it's 100% true. It's a fresh new beginning. Uh, and next, I think it's similar to other question, but what's one book, movie, or experience that had a profound impact on your personal growth?
Ooh, I seldom watch a movie in theaters more than once. I have to really like a movie if I'm going to see it in theaters more than once. But this year, uh, the director Ava DuVernay released the movie Origin, and it's based off of the book released in 2012. 2020 or 2021, titled Cast: The Origin of Our Discontents by Isabel Wilkerson. And every time I go to a bookstore, I ask if they have that book, and they say, no, but we have her other books. I'm like, oh gosh. I really hope you get a copy of her book one day, because I mean, the movie was so insightful, and it introduces the concept of caste to a lot of people.
Mhm.
Maybe that's the wrong way to phrase it. It gives a word to a concept that has existed for generations and generations, and it gives 3 different case studies of caste. And it's I think it's a movie that everyone should watch, because in every country there are outcasts, and throughout all of history there have been outcasts. And so regardless of your heritage, there is probably a plethora of scenes that you could relate to.
This is great, great recommendation. And the second last question. Can you tell us one thing about yourself that most people aren't aware of?
Ooh. I love cooking, but I don't like cooking for hours and hours and hours and hours and hours on end. I like eating food that has had a lot of effort and love poured into it, but I get very cranky if I have to cook for long periods of time. And frankly, on days where I successfully pull that off, I am too cranky to even eat. And that's like different from hangry. That's just I'm so resentful at this dish that took me so much of my day that I am going to get revenge on this dish by not even eating it. It's a very silly way to think. It's such a silly way to think. But I genuinely, as much as I love cooking, I don't want to spend hours more of my day cooking than than eating. Okay. I have poured a lot of love into recipes throughout the years, and a lot of that food was eaten by somebody else because I was just too I was just too upset by the time the process was over.
Well, and the last question. What's one idea that you think the majority of people get wrong?
Caste. Caste has existed in so many different hierarchies, and it's probably always going to exist. That being said, we should combat it as much as we can. I mean, if anything, artists have always lived on the edges of society, but artists are the ones who usher in a new wave of society. Are artists for the longest time have been outcasts, and it's because they don't just accept the status quo. They challenge people to reconsider what they deem to be true. And I mean, there's a reason why there's a translation for storyteller in every single language, whether that language is spoken only or if it also has a written system. Storytellers have always been important, and unfortunately a lot of revolutionary storytellers have been outcasts. And I wish people defied caste more.
Okay, it's a strong and powerful message. And now the bonus questions. The first one, DKLA's doors are always open to you. Would you come back if you could?
Absolutely.
Okay. And do you have a final message to our guests? To our guests, no, to our listeners. Oh, I'm sorry.
We all have multiple purposes in life. Don't let anyone tell you you have only one purpose in life, because if there's one thing I know for certain, is that no human exists on this planet for one thing. We all have many reasons to exist, and we all deserve to thrive during our short stint of time on this planet.
Oh, great message. And I will clap just like this because the microphone is near me. You can see, but it's near me if I clap my hands. uh, and thank you very much for giving me the insights and your precious time to share about your work, your life.
Thank you for having me.